The X Zone radio and TV show is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone radio and TV show or in any manner endorsed by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, Talkstar Radio Network, its affiliated stations, or employees.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. For the next 4 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern on the Talkstar Radio Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, Paranormal Broadcast Network, UK High Definition Radio, Euro High Definition Radio, Star Cable, and our growing family of broadcast affiliates right across Canada, the United States, the Caribbean, Central America, South America, the Pacific Rim, Asia, India, Africa, and Europe. Worldwide toll-free, 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. And to read the online edition of the X Chronicles newspaper that has editions going back to prior 2000 with our compliments, www.xchronicles-newspaper.com/publisher. X Zone Nation, my first guest tonight is Nancy Burke. And we're going to be talking about Nancy's book that is entitled From We to Me. Now, From We to Me is a book written by Nancy Burke and co-authored by her former husband and spiritual partner on the other side. He discusses the depression and the deep grief that she experienced with his sudden death and offers an enlightened view of how she now visions death, divorce, and separation. Gavita adds his compassion and enlightenment from his plane of spirit. He often refers to his truth as being so different from when he was in his physical body as Tom, Nancy's husband. Joining me now from the beautiful state of Idaho is Nancy Burke. And Nancy, welcome to the X Zone.
Thank you very much, Rob. I'm glad to be here. By the way, his name on the other side is Givda.
Givda.
Yep.
Now, why is the name changed on the other side?
Actually, from what he said, it was because when he transitioned, immediately he was not greeted as Tom, who he knew himself as in this life, but as Givda. But he said it's a much longer word, but for my purposes, I can just use Givda. And it seemed it must be his soul name through many lives.
Now, prior to your husband passing, had you been in communication with the other side, with any other spirit or entity?
Never.
No,
I was a very strict Catholic prior to that. So I didn't even believe in anything like this.
How did this change your faith?
Oh, well, I'm no longer Catholic, but I believe my faith is so well grounded and founded now because I know there is definitely life after death. There is no hell, and we enter into pure love and joy instantly. So and there is no death, because what we see as death is the body and the bones and all of that have stopped, and the organs that have stopped, and the blood that's no longer circulating. But the bigger part of us, the soul, immediately leaves and joins other souls on the other side.
We have about 60 seconds before I have to take my break. One quick question. Prior to communicating with your husband on the other side, did you fear death?
Did I what?
Did you fear death?
Oh, totally. Especially after he died.
Do you fear death now?
No, I don't fear death at all anymore.
Nancy, please stand by. You and I have to take a 2-minute commercial break. Exo Nation, Nancy Burke is our special guest. She is the author of From We to Me. And our toll-free number is 1-800-610-7035. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv at hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. I'll be back on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break as we continue here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
It's amazing how you can speak right to my heart. Without saying a word, you can light up the dark. Try as I may, I can never explain what I hear when you don't say a thing. The smile on your face lets me know that you need me. There's a truth in your eyes saying you'll never leave me. The touch of your hand says you'll catch me wherever I fall. Say it best when you say nothing at all.
And welcome back, everyone. Nancy Burke is my guest this first hour of tonight's show. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone, and we're coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Nancy is the author of From We to Me. And Nancy, I was wondering if you could take us back, if it's not too painful for you, that is, to the day that Tom left this, what we believe to be reality, and returned to the spirit world.
I can easily. What is exactly a question? From Tom's perspective or mine?
From yours and then Tom's.
From mine. All right. We were skiing, and he was behind me for the first time and collapsed. And I kicked my skis off and went back, and he was already gray, and I started CPR, and to no avail. He was, he was pronounced dead when he was helicoptered to the hospital, which was a few seconds away by helicopter. And I was in total denial, total disbelief, because when they had him hooked up to all the machines in the hospital, he looked like he would open up his eyes at any second and say, "Gotcha, didn't I?" I mean, he looked so healthy and so good, and I was not able to accept the reality that he was gone.
How long had you and Tom been married together as a couple?
We'd been married 23 and a half years, 3 years of dating before that.
Oh, gosh. Tom, now, how long after Tom crossed over did the first communication start, and how was that first communication initiated?
All right, he started, I'm going to say probably, I can't even remember anymore as far as years, but let me just guess, 6 years after he died, by turning a light off in my bathroom. I have 3 lights above the mirror, which is above the sink, and the middle light went off, and it would go off for a length of time and then go back on. And it did this several times, and finally I called in the electrician, and he checked out the bulb and the transformer. Everything, of course, was fine. And I finally got then that, okay, there's nothing wrong with the light, then somebody's messing with the light, and I love that expression, messing with it. And that was when I first started realizing that my former husband, was doing this. This went on for quite a while, and then finally, say maybe within 6 months or so, I sat down on the tub surround when the light went off, and I thought, why don't I just empty my mind, see what I feel? And what I felt was just totally cocooned, surrounded with peace and love. It's words don't even describe the warmth and the wonderful feeling that I had.
How do you know it was your husband?
At that point, I didn't know, but
Okay.
I assumed it was because of the tremendous love we had for each other. And since I'd been alive a long time and this had never happened before, it was kind of easy to guess that it was he. And then I would say probably 4 years after that, I started working with a medium before that, but probably around that time I started working with a medium to, but the medium, first of all, was just me asking questions about our children, our 8 children, and things like that, and getting his perspective from the other side. So that's how the whole thing began.
Was it?
And then it wasn't. Go ahead.
Was it you who had the communication, or was it strictly through a medium?
It was through a medium, but I have gotten to the point, and actually was told years before by Givda that he and I that we could do this on our own, that we didn't need a medium. But I didn't have the confidence to trust what I was getting to do it, and I wanted the security of a medium, and I knew that it was Givda. Although I didn't know that was his name, and I kept calling him Tom, because of the syntax of what he said, which was the same as when he was alive, and also the sense of humor. Plus, his knowledge of things occurring for me and for the children that wouldn't make sense for anybody else to know.
All right, just so that we can keep it straight for our listeners, I'm going to refer to Givda as Tom because...
Okay.
All right. So because we're going to be we're going to be talking about 3 different people here, and we're going to get lost very easily. Tell me, what was Tom's account of what happened when he ceased to exist in this plane, in this reality that we're in?
All right. What I'd like to do, if it's okay, is read what he said.
Please do.
Okay. And this is in the book. I don't know how to put this. For I have to keep working in the context of time with you. So remember that. Let's start with that last day. I awoke, and with the terminology that we use on the earth, I had a premonition. But I will say that it was something more like a truth. This was the truth that hit me, that this was it, that as Tom I was finished. Now, would I have been able to write that down and hand it to you on a piece of paper? No. But I had a knowing. It does not even go up to your head of thought. It just kind of takes over your whole being, including your body, including your mind, including your ego. It just said, this is it, Tom is finished. And then let me proceed to when he, that's some emotions that we threw at him.
All right, while you're finding the next passage, Street, I'm just going to remind your listeners that you're my guest, Nancy Burke, and we're talking about Nancy's book entitled From We to Me. And did you find the next passage?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great.
All right, so then he proceeds later on. It was as if I no longer needed my body. There was no sense of pain, of sorrow, nothing. When I felt that wall of emotions that you threw at me, I could sense and feel that kind of thing, but I was not at all that way myself. I was so immediately catapulted into an energy that said, here you are, beautiful, wondrous soul. Nobody called me Tom. I did not need it, because I immediately recognized that I was so big, so huge, so much a part of everything. It is like all of a sudden you go, oh, no kidding, this is me? I am really this? Wow, here I am, and here all along I thought I was Tom. That is a great and a beautiful kind of feeling. That is the part of the joy and celebration of leaving the earth. You get such an idea of who you really are in that instant. There is nothing quite like it. It is instantaneous, the most unbelievable event on the earth. In a body, then gone, out of the body, and in beautiful, unbelievable, unrestrained joy. That is the best way I know how to say it.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
How often do you communicate with Tom now?
Very frequently now. I mean, it's almost on a daily basis.
And what kind of guidance does Tom give you and your family that you apply to your daily lives?
Mostly, like say, for the children, he will talk about for them, and a lot of this is in the book too. That it's for anybody. That so often as humans we look at the end result of what we're trying to get to, rather than the journey along the way. And he always says it's the pearls that you find on the journey, not the end result. Because as soon as you get that end result, you're ready for another end result and
That's
working
right.
towards that. But so many times we don't enjoy the journey, but it's just getting to that whatever it is that we're desiring.
So many people look at the stumbling blocks in life as defeat when it's actually a lesson to be learned.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He goes into that quite a bit too, that there is no right and wrong, and there are no mistakes. That, of course, it's the same thing you're saying. We learn from our mistakes.
That's right.
That lead us on to where we have to get. And, you know, those beautiful lessons come to us because we need them. And in some way we're calling for them. Now, most people would say, no, I'm not. I mean, I could say that about, Tom's death. No, I wasn't calling for that. but he obviously was. I mean, he was through. He'd done what he needed to do in this lifetime, even though I didn't agree with it.
You can't have success without failure.
That's very true. Very true.
What are some of the messages that Tom gives you?
Well, I mean, one of the recent things that I asked for was I was just recently in a relationship, and I asked about what was the big picture, what was I supposed to learn from this, and went to sleep with that question. In the morning, woke up realizing that this person was not accepting me as who I am, but wanted to change me.
Oh,
and at the same time, I realized, I guess I learned that lesson 15 years ago, that nobody's going to change me except me.
That's right. And why is it that people want to change people? If they get into a relationship, they know what the person is like, and it boggles my imagination why they believe they have the ability to change this person.
And we don't. We can't change anybody but ourselves.
It just causes grief, heartache, mistrust. You know, if that's the way a person is going into a relationship, don't bother.
Yeah, exactly.
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 Nancy, please stand by. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Exonation Nancy Burke is our special guest. She is the author of From We to Me. And she doesn't have a website right now, but as soon as Nancy does get one, we'll post it on our website and we'll point all the traffic to this site, because I believe that the book is written from the heart.
It is.
And to me, that's where life, spirituality, and all that we seek really is. It's not in the bank. It's not at the car dealership. It's not at the bottom of the sea in a treasure chest. It's right in your heart. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as the X Zone continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
You're listening to the X Zone Radio Show, live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network. X
X Zone Broadcast Network, UK High Definition Radio,
Euro High Definition Radio,
and Star Cable. Our toll-free telephone number worldwide is 1-800-610-7035.
Our email address, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com.
On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com.
And our website,
www.xzoneradiotv.com. Nancy Burke is my guest this hour, X Zone Nation. We're talking about Nancy's book entitled From We to Me. And it's amazing to hear the story on how we perceive what happens when we die at this side to really what happens to those who have already passed. You said that before that you were a Roman Catholic, you were a religious person, that the events and the communication with Tom certainly has changed your beliefs, your belief system. What is the biggest change that has come over you?
That we do have the answers ourselves, and that nobody can voice they can try to voice their opinions and beliefs on us, but we have the answers. Everyone has them inside themselves. I'm seeing this particularly with grandchildren, young children coming into the world who come in with a knowing that is so beautiful, and I'm doing everything within my power to encourage that in them, whether their parents do or not.
Tell me, Nancy, can anyone connect with souls on the other side, and if so, how is it done?
Well, I believe that anybody can. Since I can, I certainly believe that anybody can, because I never thought this was possible for me. I think the biggest thing, and Tom goes into this in his parts of the book, is being able to quiet our minds. Now, I do this through meditation, and but you can do it anyway. I mean, just sometimes being out in nature is enough to quiet your mind because you're just aware of what's around you. And I think the biggest thing is our willingness. If you doubt it, if you don't think it's possible, it's not going to happen. But if you believe that it's possible and are willing to do anything within your power to assist it, then I believe that's when it can happen.
Why do you think so many people do not believe that communication with the other side is possible?
Because I believe they're told that. I mean, I know prior to speaking with Tom on the other side, I thought he was off doing heavenly things. First of all, I wasn't even sure and he's never called it heaven, by the way.
Right.
But soul's existence, I thought he was off doing heavenly things, and he has corrected me on that so many times. And I know that my children don't live around me, and he's with them and with the grandchildren, and I mean, he's all over the place simultaneously. And the thing is, the souls so want to connect with people still in human form because they can be major helps to us, assistance to us, with direction, and they never try to force anything on us, but they're interested in what we're going through, and not in a longing way, but just because they come from such a place of knowing that we don't have.
Does being in communication with a non-physical being take your attention away from living in the present and in moving on with your life?
Actually, it doesn't. I mean, I can give a resounding no on that, and I've given many talks to groups, and it's interesting how that question always comes up from somebody in the group. And because now I have understanding that I've received, it allows me to see what works in my life and what doesn't very quickly, whereas previously I had to go through so much. I mean, everything took so much longer before, and there wasn't any surety, which I do have now, when I can see things very clearly of, well, this isn't working for me, and that's all I can go by, right?
In your book, From We to Me, you speak of grief as something to be almost avoided, yet there are so many books, workshops, counselors who focus on grief. How do you reconcile this?
That's a wonderful question because, again, we have all been trained to believe that grief is a necessary part of the healing process after divorce, death, whatever.
Yeah.
And with the understanding and acceptance that there is no death, but rather transition, that really removes the need for the depths of grief. There still may be a short period of grief, but certainly not like the 10 years that I went through. And also where it wouldn't lead into depression. The other aspect of this is I love to think of mourning, which is a word so seldom used anymore. And it's a much softer word, and certainly you're going to miss the physical presence of the person, whether it's divorce or death. But it's lighter and higher, which means our vibrations are lighter and higher, and not being lowered to such a level where we're almost in non-existence, even though we're still alive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It truly does. Can depression after a shocking devastation be avoided, or is it part of the healing process? Like, psychologists, doctors will say you need to have this depression. How do we convince people that they don't need to have this?
Well, again, I think the emphasis on grief and the stages of grief, for me, it was starting out as let's just say a large spiral. And it going through the stages again and again and again and again. Look at a water spout, and it keeps getting narrower and narrower and narrower, and that's what led to what started the depression. I mean, I was hardly alive. I mean, even though I was still partially functioning and my organs were functioning, I couldn't make decisions. I didn't care about life. I didn't care about anything going on. That is not a pleasant way to live. Because you're barely alive. And so I know, I think it's a choice, and I think if a lot of the counselors and psychiatrists, et cetera, could read this book and perhaps opened up to other possibilities, people don't need to be encouraged to stay in grief or depression.
Okay, so how do your children, what is their take on you communicating with Dad on the other side?
This is very interesting. Okay, I've got 8, right?
Right.
I would say of the 8, 3 are totally open and understand it, and the rest are not. I mean, many of them couldn't even read my book. Really? Yeah. And and I expect that, and I expect not everybody to be able to accept it, especially the ones who are still practicing Catholicism. This goes against everything they believe.
What have been the reviews from friends and family? You've got 3 out of 8 who are open to what you're doing. How about your friends and other members of your family and members of Tom's family?
I have none of his family have read the book, as far as I'm aware, but friends and other people have been very, very supportive during this entire project. And as a matter of fact, I did create my own spiral-bound book, which I handed out to a lot of people, and the responses have just been phenomenal from that. But I know one woman who I handed it to came up to me a couple of weeks later, and looking at her face had totally changed.
Really?
And she said, she said, you have no idea what you did for me, Nancy. She said, I have been berating my former husband and taking it out on my 2 children and not pleased with what they were doing. And she said, nobody's ever told me that I was responsible for my own happiness. I thought everybody else had to make me happy. She said, you completely changed my life. And a man in L.A. that I gave it to, again, I saw a complete change. I saw him about a month later, and complete change in his face and his whole bearing. And he said, I had not been in contact with my 3 children in over 10 years, and he said, you gave me the courage to do that. And he said, I have the most wonderful relationship with him now. It's amazing, and I would never have done it without reading your book. So, I mean, it's really run the gamut, and plus other people that I know who have gone through a loss of a death have also just said they've read it like 5 times, and they keep going back to it when something new comes up. So it's helped a lot of people already.
You know what I like about your book and about what you're doing is you're helping people in a time of need, because very few people know, and I think this is what you're bringing to light, that grief just doesn't happen when a person passes away, when you lose a loved one. It happens when you lose a job. It happens when you move from one city to the next. It happens when you lose a boyfriend or a girlfriend or your
dog or a cat.
You know, people don't realize that grief is an everyday reality of our life.
Yes. And it can be looked at in a different way. Again, it's the same thing you were saying earlier, Rob, about mistakes or difficulties or what seems to be, being pushed back in life. No, those things make us stronger and help us to redefine what we're doing, how and what we're doing and why we're doing it. And those all are it's almost like stepping stones along our path in life. And you step off, so what? It's not a big deal.
Do you believe that life is predestined and that we're all part of a plan, that someone has written a life script for us?
No, I don't at all. And I could be wrong there. I don't know, but that is not my belief. And I think I did feel that way previously, but now I know that every choice, we have choices all along the way. And I mean, Thomas told me that this was something that our souls had planned to do, was write books together to assist other people, and I had no idea of that. And of course, now looking back after writing the book, and obviously I went through a lot of healing even in the writing of the book, and then talking to groups of people, I absolutely love it and realize if I hadn't gone through that deep grief and depression for 10 years, I wouldn't be able to relate to people, because I think now I would look at death and deal with it entirely differently, or divorce, or ending of a relationship, or whatever, so differently because of what I know and understand now.
So let me ask you this: what advice do you have for someone who is presently experiencing the devastation of a lost relationship?
Read my book. Read my book and read it again and again. Seriously, because I think you have to open. And I think that's what my book does, is open people to other ways of dealing with this and other thoughts and other possibilities about what this is. And,
where is your book available right now?
Right now it's available at anybody's favorite online bookstore, like Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
Well, that's great.
They can always order it at their
local bookstore.
Individual local bookstores, right. It's available on ebook. I think they can even get it through Balboa Press.
As the author, who do you see as your readers?
Well, anybody who has experienced loss, and I just threw in cat and dog when in our conversation, relatives, whatever. I think the information in this book can enlighten anyone who chooses to read it. And there's also parts focusing on relationship and raising relationship and how you view a relationship to a totally different level, so it can help anybody who's already presently in a relationship, and also gives some advice too. This is from Tom again, on allowing children to grow into their innate knowing and wisdom. Also, I really believe anybody who's in grief counseling, psychiatrists, counselors, anybody who works with people in grief could benefit from it tremendously. Again, it can open them to other thoughts rather than getting stuck in that. You have to go through all these steps of grief again and again and again. Because I really don't believe you have to do that if you can look at everything a different way.
All right, Nancy, stand by. You and I have to take our final break for this hour. Exonation. Nancy Burke is our guest. Her book, From We to Me, is available online at Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, as well as your local bookstore. All you have to do is go in and say, hey, listen, can you give me the book? The name of the book is From We to Me by Nancy Burke. It's that simple. Nancy and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X Zone does continue right here from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. By the way, X Zone Nation, if you're in the Toronto area, February 17, 18, 19, why don't you drop up to the Body, Soul, Spirit Expo at the International Center? I'm going to be the Master of Ceremonies. So drop in, say hi, let me know who you are, and always love meeting the members of the X Zone Nation. My name's Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone, and we're coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. And welcome back, everyone. Nancy Burke is our special guest. She's the author of From We to Me. It's available at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and a number of other online bookstores. And, of course, if you walk into your favorite bookstore and ask them to get a copy of From We to Me by Nancy Burke, they'll be more than happy to help you out. First of all, Nancy, great pleasure talking to you here on the X Zone today. I want to wish you...
Me too, Rob.
I wish you much success with your book. And... What are the final thoughts or your final message that you'd like to leave with the X Zone Nation tonight?
That love does not end when a relationship ends or when a person dies. It continues to grow exponentially. And if we can understand that and grasp that, it is like the biggest thing that can change our life. There is no end to love.
So what happens when people get divorced, when people get separated? What happens to that love that they once had? And the love obviously is no longer there. That's why they part ways.
But the love still exists as a vibration. It cannot be diminished. And they do part ways. But I think, again, Rob, people are not looking. They're looking at all of the difficulties, the recent difficulties that led them to divorce or separation or whatever. They're not looking at the way they felt in the beginning, and perhaps, that they weren't meant to be together forever or till death do us part. They were together for a period of time, and maybe they accomplished what they were supposed to accomplish together. And if people could look at it in that way and say, all right, rather than tearing each other apart through legal proceedings and everything, I've grown, you've grown, we're no longer a match to each other, we're no longer helping each other. Let's go our separate ways. but bless each other on our ways.
Mm-hmm.
How much softer would that be?
It would
I
be
know
a lot.
the lawyers probably all get mad at me for saying such a thing, but it's really true.
It would be a lot softer, a lot better, and a lot less painful on children because children are the casualties more than the parents are in these cases.
Absolutely. And they're usually the pawns.
Exactly. Exactly. And of course, some parents use children as pawns against grandparents as well, and I think that is so wrong.
Yeah.
Nancy, again, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a great pleasure talking to you. Much success, and we look forward to the next time you visit us here
I
on the
look
X Zone.
forward to it, too. Thank you, Rob.
All right, you take care of yourself. Now, X Zone Nation, Nancy Burke has been my guest this hour. The name of her book is From We to Me, and it's available at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, as well as other online bookstores. And, of course, you can go to your local bookstore and ask them to get you a copy of From We to Me by Nancy Burke. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past the hour as we continue here in the X Zone from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. 1-800-610-7035 is our toll-free number. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. Oh, don't forget, February 17, 18, 19, I am the MC at the Body, Mind, Spirit Expo at the International Centre here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Hope to see you there. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Whatever you do, don't go away.